Hey, 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 what's up, good peoples?
Hey, how you gonna put my points on?
Those are your points. Those are all of our points. Oh, I didn't see your points.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay,
that's
I'm sorry.
not.
All right, so we can make sure we do yours. Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, YouTube? In a situation like this, like, what do you normally do?
It normally fixes itself. There we go. What's going on?
What's up, 529?
Hey,
We're glad that y'all decided to join us again this evening to get this thing on and popping tonight.
On and popping?
On and popping tonight, baby. On and popping tonight.
Okay.
My name is... Here's my delectable wife.
Oh, my.
Deanna, my Hey, baby.
Hey, boo.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right.
I'm
feeling nice and relaxed. I've had a long, hard day, but I'm here with you. So I'm feeling good. I got a nice little beat, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm feeling all right.
That's good. I'm glad we was finally able to get here.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you do your thing.
I'm really glad.
Go ahead.
I'm really glad we was finally able to get here.
I've
been sitting here since 9 o'clock.
No, you
waiting on you. I have been sitting here since 9 o'clock.
What's going on, Miss Jade Ross? I see you, Latanya Johnson from Texas. She's representing from Texas. Don't even listen.
Again, let us know where y'all are tuning in from. I've been here since 9 o'clock. My wife, she just decided to join the party. So welcome, baby.
Whatever. Whatever. Patina, we see you. I see you. Welcome, welcome. Patina is, am I pronouncing that correctly? She's representing Maryland. Nadia, I see you. James Penn is in the house. We see you guys coming into the room. If you are joining us for the first time, then what you need to know is that you need to get some paper, you need to get a pen, you need to make sure that in some way, whether you're going to be a writer tonight or whether you're going to look at your phone and type it in your text messages and text it to yourself so you can look at it maybe later on the weekend and think, what can I do? This is about education. This is about really evolving. This is about going to the next level in your relationship and in love. As my husband said, did you say this? Did you say it every time? No. You ain't say, I'm just lying now.
Yeah, you just lying right
Go ahead. So as my husband is about to say, go ahead.
I was about to say. So as my wife just mentioned, we are, this right here is edutainment. It's information. This right here is not therapy, y'all. We are licensed therapists, but this right here is not therapy. This is for your edutainment and information purposes only. We want you to enjoy. We want you all to please, please, please like, comment, and share. Please like, comment, and share. We really appreciate the energy that we get from you all during the course of these videos because, again, the more you like, the more you love, the more you share, the more people come into the room, and the more people we can help in terms of their relationships. There's a lot of dysfunction that's taking place nowadays in relationships.
We got excited.
And I got 5 children. I got 5 children who's going to be marrying somebody's child out there. And so I want to make sure that people are on point when it comes to their relationships, but we need them to get the information. So again, please like. Thanks for the thumbs up. Please like, please comment, and please share, because not only you will benefit from this experience, but people that you know will too. And we benefit from the feedback that we get from you all. So again, please like, please comment, and please share. My wife and I, y'all, we've been together now for 23 years, married for 15. We got history, and we got 5 children, y'all. So not only do we talk about this thing, but we live it every single day in our life, in our house. And we also do it professionally, too. So it is what it is.
So tonight, guys, we are talking about 5 fears. 5 fears. We only doing 5?
That was the plan, bro. Like, I mean.
Okay, well, I might add a couple of, we ain't just doing yours. See, he wrote some things down. I wrote some things down. I'm like, what? He going to put on the table. He got a little piece of paper. He going to put on the table all his thoughts. And I sent you mine, and you ain't even put mine out.
I ain't have a chance to look at your thoughts.
It's not that you didn't have a chance. Did anybody out there know about texting your boo, and he just don't look at it, or he like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I knew you was gonna tell me later. You look in the email. Why are you turning the music up when I'm talking? You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't look at my stuff.
We got some anniversaries in the house, y'all. I see. Mrs. J. Ross, she got her 6-year anniversary coming up tomorrow. That's what's up. Congratulations
6 years.
To you.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
Yeah, but I see Cynthia B. Yesterday was her 5-year anniversary.
Oh.
Congratulations on that too.
All right, so we got to go ahead and put the happy anniversary out there. We got to make sure that, you know, we give each other energy. So go ahead and drop a little comment, y'all, and say happy anniversary. Yes, and that's to Jade, right? It's Jade's anniversary.
And Cynthia, yeah.
And Cynthia.
And so while we're on that whole anniversary tip, y'all, what I want to lift up, if you have not already gotten your tickets to our Black Marriage Day DC workshop, It's called My Marriage Matters. We're putting a stamp on that thing. We want you to say My Marriage Matters. It's coming up on March the 17th from 2 to 6 p.m. at the infamous Union Temple Baptist Church here in Washington, D.C. And so please get your tickets. The links are on Facebook as well as YouTube. You can click and get your tickets today.
All right, guys. So tonight we are talking about 5 fears. 5 is what we say, but it's probably gonna be more than 5 that you must overcome to. Just when I say the word, it does something for you, like especially when you think about it being related to a relationship or to your marriage or to your boo, then you're in the right place this evening, because there's so many things that masquerade around looking like something else in us as individuals and in our relationships, and it's really fear. It looks like something else, but it's really that you need to overcome so that your relationship can be everything that it needs to be. And maybe you ain't got one right now. Maybe it's the one to come. Maybe you keep bumping in and out of relationships because you keep not dealing with the fear that is sitting on the inside of you.
Yeah,
so we're going to talk about some fears this evening, and let's just go ahead and get started with number 1. But remember, share this video.
Yeah, please share
it to your page, and let folks know we own and talking about fear and people being a little scared when it comes to relationships.
Hey, I want to shout out a couple that
oh, you do?
Yeah, that always constantly and consistently shows up for the live streams. He be macking her on the live stream and she be macking him. I'm talking about Fine 29. Fine 29, you and your man, y'all be sending messages back and forth. So I want to shout y'all out because they represent. They represent on the live stream. And it's like, hey, we here. We're here to get the information. We're here to get some teaching up in here, and they participate. So shout out to y'all, 529, for your contribution to the dialogue. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. So I don't know how many you got, but I want to start this thing off by talking about one fear in particular, and the fear that I think that is really critical, and it's based off of you looking at relationships from a historical perspective. But it's really number 1, the fear of failure. A lot of people, enter into relationships and engage in this whole self-sabotaging process. And it's partly because there's an expectation. What in the world are you doing? What are you doing?
Can I take this out?
Yeah.
Okay. Focus on your thoughts.
So, but somebody want to hear this. People on my page might want to hear
it. Okay, but boo, can you just
all right, so what I wanted to say is that when it comes to this whole fear of failure piece, again, people, they fear failure. They fear that if they get into a relationship, that there's this possibility or inevitability that the relationship will fail.
Sometimes,
and so as a result, they're not fully investing in a relationship. And so because they have this fear of failure, they go in really like half-assed in the process. They're not fully committed in the process, and they're expecting the relationship to fail. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so what you need to do is really face and confront that fear of failure and recognize the fact that there's people who are out here in relationships and they're doing it. And they're doing it. And they're doing it well.
Are we doing it well?
Yes, baby.
Yes, we are.
We are. And so what you need to do is turn to those examples, glean from those experiences, and recognize the fact that, again, all relationships don't have to be jacked up. 70% of children nowadays grow up in single-parent households. A lot of people are in dysfunctional relationships. So you're probably surrounded by just mess, just stuff, just chaos. And so, again, you're afraid that if you step into a relationship just based off of what you see, that you're going to end up repeating the same thing that you witnessed. It's probable and it's possible, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. Again, you got to make sure that you're intentional. It's possible, not probable.
Yeah, you're going to say it's probable.
Well, I mean,
that's not very encouraging.
It might not be.
But you don't mean to say probable, do you?
Well, I mean, in some instances, I would say that. It is probable. But again, more than probable, I'm saying it's possible. And I'm saying it's possible based off of the fact that, again, what you see, a lot of times we recreate those experiences, but you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself and you're basically embracing sound relationship principles and sound relationship experiences from people who are doing the thing and doing it right.
So, just let me, can I just put a little something on that?
You can.
A lot of us, and especially those of you who are watching who are not in a relationship, don't have anybody, or you're questioning the current relationship that you have, a lot of folks, a lot of times, don't realize that you keep yourself from what it is that you say it's like a fear of, success. You know what I mean? And that's another one right there, fear of success. We don't want to be successful and actually really get to a place where we found someone and they, created this kind of energy and vibe in us that makes us want to be vulnerable and all of that. We feel kind of wide open, because then what if I get all like that and I'm all, up in it, and then boom, like this person, rolls out on me, or they abandon me, or they cheat on me, or whatever. And this is not just for people who don't have a relationship yet and they can't seem to get one and keep one. This is also for folks who are married or who are in a committed relationship. Because just because you're with somebody does not mean you with somebody. Well, connected. You understand what I'm saying? Just because y'all are together don't mean y'all together. How many people can look back over your life and look back and, your family, people around the way, like, yeah, every time I used to go to my uncle's house or my aunt's house or whatever, but they were sleeping in different rooms, people aren't together. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of that stuff that happens and it goes on. And so we just have to understand that there are a lot of things that we do to prevent ourselves from really being in the relationship. And it's all because we're afraid. We're afraid. And what I tell people all the time is straight up this. You can be afraid somebody's going to do something to you. They're going to abandon you. They're going to leave you. They're not going to be with you. A lot of times it's unconscious. A lot of times people who got attitudes and, seem real rough, it's just because that's just that rough exterior that keeps them protected, and then eventually repels the person that they really want. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, why are you so mean now? You know what I mean? Why are you so stank? You ever seen some stank? Jeez, what's that all about? And it's not just my personality. That's just how I am. It's a protection method. It's a mechanism of keeping yourself kind of circled off and walled off. And what we have to really pay attention to is the fact that when we do that, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yes, there is this fear a lot of times of finding the love and then losing the love. So I just will go through the motions, you know what I'm saying? And I won't really genuinely attract somebody to me that I'm going to be able to maintain with, because it's just too much for me to handle. So I will self-sabotage by any means necessary. I will self-sabotage. But look, somebody just said, you can't help it. I don't even know if you're talking about what I'm talking about. Let me look at that. Bruce, Mackin 529 again.
Bruce, you be doing your thing. You representing for your relationship. That's what's up. We just shouted you out a minute ago.
So pay attention to that fear of finding love and losing it.
So that was number one, right?
That was number one.
Yeah.
Number one.
But I think that you kind of questioned me a minute ago, and I think that it's important for me to revisit this thing when I mentioned the whole probability piece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's not...
It does sound quite daunting.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important for...
Hey, Yvette, and hey, Latisse. Thank you for sharing.
What's up, y'all?
Thank you for sharing.
I think that it's extremely important for people to realize that what you do and the environment that you create in your home, it really matters, y'all. It really, really, really matters. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that is because a moment ago I mentioned that what you see in your house, what you see in your environment, it makes it a probability that you may create or recreate those experiences. And so it's not to say that it's a guarantee, but based off of what you witness, you're either going to run towards it or run away from it. And a lot of people, they end up sitting with stuff or internalizing pain, internalizing experiences that they witnessed when they were younger. And as a result, they end up recreating those experiences when they get older. And so I'm saying that it's probable you will recreate unless you decide to pattern interrupt that thing and do something different. It's really important that you really internalize that, because again, it's not to say you can't do anything different, but you got to be intentional, and you got to recognize the legitimacy and the seriousness of what you've witnessed and how it's internally impacting you. That thing is resonating with you on a whole spiritual, emotional, and mental level, and a visceral level too, that you got to make sure you're paying attention to. So you need to uproot that thing and then plant a new seed so you can do something different. But you got to be intentional about that. Okay. Which decreases the probability.
Yeah, so you had to talk about that probability thing. Yeah, I think that's important though, making sure that you look back and see, what did I grow up with? If this is kind of a bonus for tonight. Everybody just, make sure that before the night is up, that you just ask yourself, like, what did I grow up with? In terms of the relationships that you saw. So whether it was your parents, caretakers, guardians, auntie and uncle, whatever, what did those relationships look like? even though you may have, more insight now, and that wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, or that was really good, I actually liked it, right? There's something that not in your consciousness, that's not in your awareness. We have plenty of people out here who, you say, I came from a 2-parent home, and, they had a good relationship, and, they didn't really argue in front of us all like that. They weren't perfectly getting along all the time, but they made up, and I was able to see a pretty healthy relationship. And yet what those people oftentimes are unable to see, because they're not willing to let themselves see it, is that there's some deep dysfunction oftentimes going on at the same time. Yeah. Everything is not all good all the time. That's just not the truth of the matter. What the person doesn't recognize is that there was some other stuff going on that never got spoken about, that never got talked about. And they, as they get older, start to recognize, maybe there was some other stuff happening. And, I don't even know where to begin with that. But you got to be able to look at, like, what was the real deal in your house? What was the real deal? What was going on? What was good? What wasn't good? And if you're not able to identify what wasn't good, then you are more than likely going to struggle with repeating it. Yeah. Look, let me tell you something. My mother is a workaholic, has been a workaholic for a long time. And she's able to, even share stories of me of, like, being out and working and being, she's a former pastor. She's a pastor emerita now. But being out at church and working and doing all these different things. And my father, they co-pastored together. He'd be home and he'd call her, be like, you got some kids, right? She was like, oh, I'm coming. Like, are we gonna eat dinner, or like, what's up? Right. And so she's able to speak about that freely with me. And she just kind of shared this example with me a few weeks ago. And so and that can impact my relationship, and it can impact my family. But if nobody's able to see it, because it just is like, everything is all good all the time, if you're not able to name it, then, then you're just going to repeat it. You don't even know you're repeating, because you don't see it as a thing. You don't even see it as an issue, because a lot of times the things that are dysfunctional and are not helpful are lifted up and rewarded. Caretaking and bending over backwards and doing everything for everybody else and not taking care of yourself, that's rewarded in this society, right? And then when you're doing that, your husband or your wife is like, well, what about me? But when are you going to take care of me? You out here running these streets and taking care of your auntie and your uncle and people at the church and people in the neighborhood, whatever. What about this house? Right? And it's just rewarded, and you think it's all good, but it's not. We have to be able to have the courage to look deeper, And so that's the question before you tonight. What is it that you experienced in your household growing up? And you need to be able to find something that was not well. Because there's no perfect relationship. And if you really don't know, like, I really don't know, because maybe everything was like fake in your house. Like, maybe nobody really talked about their feelings. I mean, it's no judgment, but it is what it is, right? Maybe nobody talked about their feelings. People didn't really say what was going on. And so parents didn't even express discord, because they thought they were protecting you. And they may have been in some ways, but then they also may be crippling in some ways, because there's no real talk. Right. So then you need to, as a grown ass adult, go to your parent, or go to somebody, if your parent is not still with you, who maybe was connected to your parent or your caretaker, and say, like, where did y'all struggle? What was it? Because it's in you. You don't even have to have conscious awareness of it. And I'm telling you that it's in you. People will repeat patterns from parents that they never met and that they never saw. People that they never were in relationship with, they will find out years later, I found my mother, and guess what? I got some of the same, I'm dealing with some of the same stuff. It's in you. It's in our DNA. It's in our psychic DNA, our spiritual DNA. I believe that firmly. I've seen it happen over and over again. So when we are proactive, when we look for what those things are, then we can take this cloak of fear away, because it's like, dang, yeah, that is, we kind of vulnerable over here. My biological father, this is Iana talking, functional alcoholic. Absolutely. All up and through my family. Family members on drugs, all kind of stuff. I mean, that ain't nothing. I mean, come on. I'm just keeping it real. In our community, that's not like, oh, really? I've not heard of that. Like, that's something that many of us, have some experience with. So, but what do I know? What I know is like, okay, then I've got to be mindful, because that's a pattern in my family. That's a pattern on my father's side. And so I've got to make sure that I pay attention to that, You understand what I'm saying? Because Bruce said it, generational curses, because we cannot break those curses, and we cannot even look at them and be in relationship with our partner and kind of gently push and challenge and love one another through that stuff if we're not even willing to say it. Whoa, 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 whoa. We got to be willing to say it. So, you know what I'm saying? There's a fear a lot of times of even being able to just have this talk. Some of y'all are listening right now and feeling real uncomfortable on the inside, getting a little tight in your chest. It's like, okay, all right. You don't even know what that's about because you're not used to the facts, Jaisha. This just putting it out there and releasing all of the judgment and all of the stuff that goes with it. We got to be able to do that so that we can get beyond fear and get into flourishing and being real. So I felt some energy from you. So what you about to say? Because I am going like, like you about to say, but what you about to say?
It's not so much of a but you know, my wife, she's been preaching this thing forever. And some of
the art of overcoming.
Yeah.
If you're not a member of the Art of Overcoming on Facebook with Iana Mott, I'll put the link in there. If you need to look for it, the Art of Overcoming, join us, sisters. We're real people. Mm-hmm. We got issues and we all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really just takes you. It requires you to really be real with yourself. It requires you to be humble and really look at yourself and really take account of who you are, what your history has been, and see it for what it is. And so when my wife was speaking a moment ago, you know, again, she's been preaching this throughout the duration of our relationship, and she's brought an element of realness to me that I respect and I receive. But she's challenged me on this front because I do have the tendency, in all of my optimism, to look at the world, look at my family, and look at relationship dynamics through rose-colored glasses.
Excuse me. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I'm glad that choked you up right there.
I just want to do that, you know, like, I mean, because what you just did is you just named it. You like, I tend to do this. I mean, there's freedom in that, you know, so I just had to give a melody to that, y'all.
So it's important that you actually be real with yourself and you be real with what it is that you see. You know, truth be told that, you know, when you have family members who you know, are using drugs and who are incarcerated, who are alcoholics and who, you know, have mental health disorders and you know, who are in domestic violent relationships, you don't see that. What you see is that's my cousin, that's my brother, that's my aunt, that's my mother. And so what you see is the person, you see the relationship that you experience with that person. And to some degree, you can't even imagine because you're looking through a certain lens that how do they have the ability to do this stuff? How can they be this? But one thing that we often lift up is that a person is not one dimensional.
That's right.
There's so many different facets and aspects of people, and all of us in some degree are walking contradictions. And so when you're able to recognize and see a person for who they are, what they struggle with, and don't allow the struggle to define them, then you make room for the struggle to be there, but also you make room for the rest of them to be there as well.
Oh my.
So all of that can coexist. And so, you know, we want to make sure that we're looking at that, we're recognizing it, we're seeing it, we're not dismissing it and denying it, but we're not making that thing them, because they're more than whatever that thing is.
Mm-hmm. See, I love some of the realness that's coming on tonight. Again, if you're watching this and you're just joining us, we're talking about some things that you need to get over. What is it? You need to get over, right? Some things, some fears that you need to get over so that you can have the kind of relationship that you really want to have. These are some things that are going to be really important for you to have a very genuine, real relationship. So these are some fears that need to be addressed.
Number one.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't keep it. No, we're not. No, we're not.
That's what
No, we're not. This you about to just add that we on number 3. That's what I'm saying. So we don't hold up. We don't talk the have we talked enough for it to be number 3.
Number one was the fear of failure.
Equivalent of 3.
You didn't name these things. Number 1 was the fear of failure.
Okay.
Number 2.
I said the fear of losing yourself. Or something like that, losing yourself or losing love, finding love and losing it, right? Okay. Then I said finding love and losing it, right? Being abandoned, right? I don't want to open myself up. Okay, but I want to just shout out the people who are being so real tonight. You know, Cynthia is being very real. She said she grew up in a dysfunctional family, domestic violence, abuse, verbal, physical. She vows to never settle and respects herself. She said it taught her the importance of self-respect. And so that domestic violence in the household had a real impact on you. And why you lean on you? Stop. She also said she had many immature guys in her past, and alcohol and drug on both sides, and codependent habits, still healing the inner child, so all of us are dealing with some stuff. At the end of the day, we got to be real about what it is. So let's move on to number 3. The first one was what, babe? Fear of failure. Fear of failure. Mm-hmm. And number 2 was fear of finding love and losing it. Again, it's not just about finding somebody and then they might leave you. It's even people who are married and who are in committed relationships. If I really open up to you, right, will you stay with me? Will you be connected to me? Will you reject me in some way? And so I don't really know if I want to go there and I want to do all of that. This one right here is big. It's a fear of restriction, the fear of having to sacrifice. So many people don't want to be in a place where they can, get some booty on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Like they can, have some good, dinner and food and, and have a place to come get that and, come in and be like, what we doing this weekend? You got somebody who, you can be compatible with and who's a companion and you can spend time with. And not just that. I just want to have that part. And I gotta what? I gotta sacrifice. You want me to go where? You want me to do what? You want me to call who? You want me to speak to what? You want me to put together a budget? You want me to come over here and like talk to the kids? You want me to? That's too much. I don't feel like doing all of that. You want me to work on my tone? What? You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to do that. So there's a fear of sacrifice, a fear of really having to change some things. And a fear of restriction. Because when we have to do some things that take us outside of our comfort zone, whether it is creating a budget, whether it is working on your tone, whether it is, doing some things with the kids and ordering yourself in a way that you're not used to, whatever it is. It requires you to probably more than likely operate on some level of restriction, not do some things that you might want to do, or be some ways that you don't really want to be.
Let me reframe that though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because restriction does not sound good.
Well, it is what it is.
Restriction is limiting. Restriction seems suffocating. Restriction seems oppressive. So I want to reframe that thing, and I want to say that oftentimes we as grown folks, we run away from discipline.
Oh.
And so what relationships require, and what's required of you to be in a healthy relationship, is discipline. You can't be afraid of discipline if you want to have a successful relationship.
That thing made me want to get up and run around.
What we're talking about when I say discipline, you need to be disciplined to remain committed to your partner. You need to be disciplined to make sure you're being a father to your children, a mother to your children.
Not popping off and saying whatever you want to say.
You need to be discipline that damn tongue. Discipline that thing.
Discipline makes things, remember this?
Yeah.
Easier. Organize your life. You cannot just organize your life, but you can organize how it is that you present yourself to your family, how it is that you present yourself to your husband or to your wife, right? How it is sacrifice. I said people are afraid of sacrifice. They don't want to have to deal with restriction. Right. But it is discipline. And for real, I just think you said it in maybe a nicer way, but discipline mean restriction on some level. You know what I'm saying? I want to have sex tonight. Well, she don't want to have sex tonight. I want to have, I don't feel like doing it. Okay, well, like accommodate that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it means to be in a relationship with somebody else. So discipline is big. I really like that one. So again, restriction, sacrifice, discipline. We are afraid of that. If you do not want to engage in that, I just want to, kind of peep you to something. Not only will you not have a successful, productive relationship that gives you more than you could ever dream, your life ain't really going nowhere either. Yep. Wow. Your life isn't really going much of anywhere either because you can't really get nowhere. Your talent's only going to take you but so far. Your natural kind of inclinations are only going to get you to a certain point, because all of us can ride off of kind of like, bouncing and moving and shaking and like last minute and doing this and doing. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to get some discipline. You're going to have a plan. You're going to have to figure out how are we going to do this better? How are we going to manage our money better? How am I going to learn how to talk to him better? Yeah. How am I going to learn, how to really lean into what she says is supportive? This thing is serious. If it's serious, then I've got to be disciplined, and not just for my relationship, but for myself, because I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow and go somewhere. So that's a good one. What's the next one?
Number 3. So we on number 4, y'all.
I said it was on number 3 like 5 ones ago. That don't even make sense, do it?
Yeah. All right, so number 4, y'all. Please go ahead and share. It's not too late to share. Share this video. Please comment. We like the love, the hearts that are coming through. And again, I want to go ahead and drop this plug here. March the 17th, March 17th, 2 to 6, we're doing our Black Marriage Day, DC 2018 workshop. It's called My Marriage Matters. I see some attendees there on this live stream right now. Thank y'all for getting your tickets. Go ahead and get them. It's going to be fun. It's going to be on and popping. All right, so number 4, y'all. Number 4. The 4th fear that you need to confront in order to fortify your relationship is the fear of being seen.
Oh, say it again.
The fear of being seen.
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah.
That one is deep.
Yeah.
Everybody just get a moment of silence real quick. The fear of being seen. What does that mean for you to see me, boo, and for me to see you? I mean, can you think of an example where I saw you, where a tear rolled down your cheek and I saw you? I remember that time I described in a previous live stream, we were in the tub one time, and he was trying to get all like, boo, like, what's going on? Talk to me. And I was like, I didn't want to be seen.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be seen. So anyway, I'm talking too much. What does it mean to be seen?
It means that you're naked, that you're vulnerable, that you're exposing yourself, your innermost self, that you're unveiling yourself. You're taking down a mask. You're not hiding. You're not playing peekaboo. You're putting your hands behind your back and saying, look at me, see me, hear me, feel me, experience me, explore me. So when I talk about being seen, I'm talking about, you just opening yourself up and allowing the other person to embrace all of you. To embrace, to see, to actually even expose yourself to be rejected by your partner. So do you have the courage to confront that fear to be rejected by your partner? And so again, I think that it's important that you take that risk. We got to take that risk if we want to fortify the relationship, because if you don't, then again, you're living your relationship behind a veil, behind a mask, and you're covering yourself up and you're not being authentic or genuine. This is what we want when we're looking to experience a relationship, that authenticity, that genuineness from your partner, but also giving it to your spouse, because again, you're willing to take that risk, and the next level is on the other side of that risk. So again, you expose yourself to hurt, which is a fear of a lot of people, but you expose yourself to the opportunity of growth as well. So you want to make sure that, again, when it comes to this whole—
Why you ain't giving no example of yourself?
I don't know.
I asked you, you just went past that. I said, I gave an example before about being in the tub and you trying, you don't want to do that. You feel like I need to think. I can't think of one. Is that what you
know. I mean, I know I did something the other day when we were standing up in the bedroom and he was hugging me and I was talking about— I can't recall what I was talking about, but and a tear was rolling down my face, and I was being vulnerable and allowing you to see me. I don't remember the context of—
How do y'all remember it? That's the most important part.
I just don't. I remember the feeling, and I appreciated the fact that you made yourself available to receive what it was that I was giving you. And I felt comfortable in that space. But, even in the midst of that comfort, what I will say— Did you really? I did feel comfortable. Actually, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable, but that's what I needed. What you gave me is what I needed, but I wasn't aware of what it was that I needed until you actually gave it to me. And so, I made myself available to allow you to hold me, to touch me, to, just wrap your arms around me and stuff like that. And so it felt uncomfortable initially, but as I sat in that thing, it's almost like a recliner, y'all. You sit in that thing and you get comfortable. And so as I sat there, I felt like it was okay. It was okay for me to let my guards down. And again, my wife and I, we've been together now for 23 years, y'all, and married for 15. So it's not that it's difficult for me to let my guards down. But I would say that it fluctuates depending upon the levels of stress that I might be experiencing. depending upon, what I got going on and depending upon what the topic is and whether or not I wanted to back the up. It really depends on what the situation is. But again, I appreciate it tremendously, your willingness to embrace me, to push me, to open up. And sometimes, y'all, I just want to be clear that sometimes I see somebody made the comment, right, space of discomfort, so that you can actually experience what it means to be truly vulnerable and the liberation that comes from that experience.
Yeah.
So you might not necessarily walk into that thing on your own, but when you got a helpmate, when you got a spouse, when you got a partner that's ride or die, that has your best interest in mind, they may push you sometimes into a space of discomfort. But really what's happening is that in that space of discomfort, you're experiencing an element of vulnerability that leads to your emotional liberation. So I thank this queen right here. I thank this woman right here for pushing me and holding me and saying it was okay. It's okay for you to let your guards down. It's okay.
You're setting it up good for later on. I just want to let you know, black man. Ha! Yes. So I don't even know what I'm. Thank you for coming out. It's been real. Deuces. Now this way. So I think that one is a big one because it's really about us being vulnerable and it's about us really allowing ourselves to feel unsure, uncertain, and that leads me to another fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown. Most of us, you know what I mean, we don't want to move forward. We don't want to make the next step. We don't want to make the decision. We don't want to do anything without knowing, at least on some level, what to expect. Let's just be real. And I can't tell you how many couples we have worked with, and they are in like deep discord, and put it that way. And what we say to them is, hey, look, we're going to be in these early weeks of counseling and coaching. We're going to be in a process of discovery and decision. Discovery means we're going to be, asking you to kind of share with us, what are you dealing with? What's going on with your perspective and what's your perspective? And, let's paint the picture. Let's get a sense of what's really real. And once we've done the discovery, we're not going to stay there for long because you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. Either I'm in this or I'm not. I want for everybody out there right now who's kind of like double dutching in your relationship. You might be in it, but you ain't all the way in it. You double dutching with sharing how you really feel about things. You double dutching with, taking the initiative to put yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of in and out because you don't know how they're going to respond. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how they're going to think about you or whatever it is that you're bringing to the table. But we can't stay focused on what we don't know. And you're talking to somebody, this one right here, I'm talking about myself. I do not like it. And what's that book? I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I do not like to be vulnerable. I do not like them. You know what I'm saying? I don't like none of that stuff. So I want y'all to understand that it's not like we be all into this stuff. Like, yes, we just sitting around like, let's just be vulnerable. No, like my guard is up. And I'm disciplined to pause and be like, push it down.
Why is your guard?
You know what I'm saying? Push it down.
Why is your guard? I mean, the reason why I'm asking that question is because Bruce, he just made a comment that I think is so apropos. What? I mean, he speaks about black men.
I'm sorry. You said the comment is what?
Apropos.
Apropos?
Yeah.
Spell apropos.
APPROPOS, I guess. But Bruce
my husband is so fancy. He's so fancy.
Bruce made a comment though. He speaks about how as black men we gotta wear this armor.
I'm sorry, you trying to be serious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we gotta wear this armor. And so I'm asking you, which makes it difficult for us to be vulnerable. So, and a lot of women want to know that too. Why is it hard for black men to?
Yeah, it sounds like you just want to get to that. Why don't you just go ahead and share?
No. What I'm saying, I mean, I could share that, but you mentioned that it's we're talking about you now.
No, let's talk about
me. Why is it hard for you to be vulnerable? I like the way you try to spin that thing.
No, I'm saying, like, you try to talk about, like, yeah, you said. I'm like, but you're talking about black men, so just go on with that. Y'all don't pay attention to me tonight.
Make Me Want to Holler, Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. I mean, all of that stuff. You know, you can read those books and stuff. So, but in terms of
no, carry on, babe.
No, I mean, no, I'm not talking about that right now. What I want to know is from you. Why is it hard for you to be vulnerable?
Just in general?
Yeah, you mentioned vulnerability and it being a challenge. So,
woo, 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 woo.
And I'm asking you because I think that it can help somebody out. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not a part of my makeup. So, I mean, I've been told some of my story. I don't want to go back and tell my story. Okay. You know what I mean? But I just think that the wine. Ultimately and fundamentally, it's all about wanting to be okay. I did a video on this not that long ago. It's all about wanting to be okay. So I'm coming from an intellectual place right now because I ain't trying to be like crying and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But that's really what it is. We don't want to, like Khadijah said, we don't want to put our guards down. Right? I don't want to put my guard down. Look, let me tell y'all this real quick. When you're talking about something and somebody asks you how you feel, try to catch yourself and not say, when you're dealing with something really difficult, you tend to, just like have your guard up because you see how we say you a lot. Try not to do that. If you just change the language and say I, it even that in and of itself breaks down some of the barriers and some of the blocks that get in the way of our being vulnerable. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that for me, I don't like being vulnerable because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be hurt, and I want to be okay. And even though I might know in my head like all is well, and if you are not feeling something that I'm saying, or you don't give me what I'm looking for, it doesn't mean you don't love me. It doesn't mean that you ain't for me. It still feels. It can feel, not all the time, but it can feel like rejection. And so that right there is something that I'm not trying to invite that feeling. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah, let's just go ahead and, I won't even go there because I'm not trying to invite that feeling. Because I've said this before, and for those who follow me, I'm petty. So, some of us can, like my husband, let things come in and then let it roll off. It's not rolling off of me. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know better. You know what I'm saying? I know better, but I'm still in my feelings. And that's something that I don't know, y'all, but I want to say that I would not be surprised if when I'm 99, I'm still petty. When I say petty, meaning like that's the feeling I have. I've disciplined myself enough to know how to negotiate myself. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be, because I'm just a sensitive soul like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sensitive.
It's that Leo.
It's that Leo. Mm-hmm. You know what? It is. It is that Leo.
So I asked you that question, baby, because it leads me to
Oh, you set me up for like a
fear number 6, and you didn't I guess speak to the genesis of where that came from, but
sorry.
But what I will say is that fear number 6, y'all, is really one of the reasons why we really have troubles fortifying our relationship is because we fear our partner. We fear our partner. Okay. And so, I'm lifting this up because, as I mentioned earlier on, I do have a tendency to romanticize and to look at relationships and situations through rose-colored lenses, and I did that early on in our relationship, especially looking at my queen, my wife, my lady right here next to me, and I experienced a lot of pain early on in our relationship as a result of some of her past baggage manifesting, but also my naivete in terms of understanding and respecting where she was in terms of her own development, and also where our relationship was in its development.
Where you were in
where I was
in
my development.
Yeah.
And I'm lifting this up because, again, I wrote a poem for my wife back in the day, and it was called Impeccable You. Impeccable You. And I wrote that poem because of the way that I really saw her. And again, it was some naivete in terms of my perspective, my perception, and my understanding of her as a woman. And also me projecting and pushing on her and placing on her an unreasonable expectation in terms of how she should be around me and with me. And it was unfair.
Ooh, you never said that before.
It was, yeah.
You know that you never said that before?
No. So So yeah, so it was unfair, and I think that I did that because for me to look at and to see what it really was. Um, there's a possibility that if I was to really grapple with that thing, like we wouldn't be sitting here right now with y'all. We just wouldn't. We wouldn't be sitting here in front of y'all. And so, to some degree, I think that my naivete and my ignorance and my blindness and my inexperience probably aided and assisted us and assisted me in terms of negotiating some of the difficulty in a relationship. But at the same time, too, in some points, in some parts, it may have done a disservice because
I know may have been. It did do a disservice.
Yeah, I'm just being generous.
You're being rose-colored lenses again.
So I'm lifting it up, y'all, because I think that it's important that you see your partner for who they are, and at the same time too, you recognize their strengths and their limitations, and you accept and you appreciate the fullness of who they are. Like my wife is the bomb.
But look, Boo, you just said and first of all, when we first got together, we were in high school, and then we were in college, right? So we were young, and so we got to pay attention to that. One, like we was for real grown people, I call them pretend adults when you got young, college age and that kind of thing. But you just said if you had really been able to see all of, really what I was dealing with, and for those who don't know, I had, absent daddy, not really there like he's supposed to be, what have you, and I was cheating on he was my boyfriend then, that kind of thing. We can go into that more at another time, but we've been gone into it so many times. Most of y'all probably already know. But you said we probably wouldn't be sitting here, and so to me, and this is the lesson I want everybody else to get. It's not just fear of your partner; it's fear of self, because it's not really that you fear that. That's number 7. It's not that you really completely just fear the other person in terms of like what will it mean about who they are and who they're not, whether or not they're everything that I really want them to be, or they are. It's really about what does it say about you? What does you being with this person say about you and the kind of person you are or not? If he is with a young lady who I'm saying, oh, she cheated on me though, I'm saying, and she did it more than once, and then I'm still with her. And I'm saying I love her, and she's saying she loved me. We gonna work on this, but does that make me a punk? What does it say about me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's what it's not just about I can't deal with you because if I fully see it, but I don't even know how to be with myself. So I want you to think about that. We don't allow ourselves to see things. That's the person who's dealing with stuff, and they kind of like in denial, not so much because of just the person, because it always comes back to ourselves. Yeah. It always comes back to our own development and our own ability to deal with and really confront. And that's another one, fear of confrontation, our decisions. And really just stand in that and know that we can make decisions. You know what I'm saying? And we can say, this might not seem like it would work for you, but it works for me. This is where I am today. And tomorrow I may not be there, but this is where I am today, just because it feels like it's the right place for me to be. And it takes a lot of courage to do that, to be a grown-ass woman or a grown-ass man, and to stand in the place that you find yourself in commitment, in your relationship, in your perfect imperfection with someone who maybe other people do not approve of, or maybe you ain't really sure about. But as I said at the start of this point, and this is a long-ass point, I said, you got to make a decision. At some point, you have to get over not knowing the outcome. The fear of the unknown is going to be there in your relationship. It's going to be there. And you just got to decide. Either I'm in or I'm out. And just because you say you're in, or just because you say you're out, it does not mean that at any point in time you cannot say, let me reevaluate. You can always reevaluate. Wow. You can always reevaluate. You ain't, committing to, like, well, I said, till death do us part, of course. Yes, you should be committed if you said that. But it doesn't mean you can't use, all of your faculties to continually evaluate your life and to evaluate your partner and where you all are going. So fear of the unknown, we got to get over that thing and make a decision. Either you're in or you're out. You don't know where you're going to end up on land, but hey, make a decision. Because if you always have a door open, are you going to really work for real?
Yeah.
Are you going to really do some work? No, because you're like, I'm leaning on that door. My foot is out and the top part of my body is in. You know what I'm saying? Get on up in this thing and be in it. And if you have given everything that you have and you have exhausted all of your resources and you've done all of that, then maybe you might come up with something beautiful, beautiful. And real talk, because we're not just about fairy tales. Sometimes you come up with nothing.
That's true.
And you got to be willing to see that, reevaluate, and make a new decision. Make a new decision.
Hey, Ronnie, you can go ahead and share this thing with your wife. It's not too late. You know, hopefully she will tune in and listen. Hey, y'all, we really appreciate you all tuning in this evening. That was number 7 right there. We
said 5. We didn't go to 7.
Yeah, we gone to number 7. Again, please share this video, y'all. Please like, please love, please comment. You got any more you want to share? Do y'all have any fears? Do you all have any fears that you all want to lift up, that you want us to speak on? And you know, I think that you all as a community, you definitely add so much value and so much insight.
I'm keeping it real on YouTube. I'm telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. So any fears that you all can think of that hinder, that block, that impede the progress in your relationship, let us know. What y'all thinking out there?
we got up and coming social worker in the house. Okay, I love that. So reevaluate. Yeah. So there's a question mark there. Michaela said reevaluate. And so I guess what I'm saying there, Michaela, is that at any point in time as an individual, you can always reevaluate your position and your strategy, right? You can always do that. I think that sometimes we submit to our fears to take a risk. Like, I don't know if I really want to tell the truth about this situation, or take the next step, or hold off, or whatever, because if I do that, then that's it. That's all she wrote. That's the end. You know, it's over. That's what you said. So that's what it is. We can change our minds. Even when you're in a committed relationship, you can change your mind. And so at any point in time, you know, you can say, I mean, sometimes you know how you try to call each other out. Well, I remember when you said la 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 la, and then all you gotta do is say 4 words. I changed my mind. You know what I'm saying? I changed my mind, right? Yeah, so that's a good one, guys. I just want you all to know that none of the things that you hear from us are really from us. And when I say that, I mean that I always believe that there is something and someone, there's a higher power, right? We call him God, we call her God, but there's a higher power always operating to give you exactly what you need to get at any given point in time. So we're not orchestrating this. There have been some things that have stood out to you. You're welcome, Michaela, tonight, and I want you to make sure that you really focus on that thing. You focus on it, and you take it and you do something with it. We got to be willing to move through our fears. We got to be willing to go to the other side. The only way to the other side is through the fear. I just got to go ahead and put out here what Bruce said. Bruce said, I have a fear that as I approach midlife, my swag will get weaker. That's a very legitimate fear, Bruce. Yeah. Very legitimate, I have to tell you. But let me say this right now. If you just focus on the swag, you know what I'm saying? If you just focus on what makes you feel, what makes you feel like you are doing the daggone thing, right, then you'll be all right. You really will be all right. And look, you know your queen came through. Never that, Bruce. Never that. Your swag will always be on point with her. All right, guys. We hope that this has been of help to you. Pick something, focus on it. Do not overwhelm yourself. Everything in life is about being intentional and about taking the time to stop playing and start pushing. All right, guys. Thank you for the love. Share this video. We'll see you next time next week.
Get your ticket. Black Marriage Day DC 2018. Click the link, y'all. All right. Peace.
Bye, guys. Bye.